Hello, Garland Nixon, and guess who's back? Our favorite guy, Matt Weinglass. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. It's funny. I saw a random Jack says it's me again. That's what's his name? Andre Martianoff is so hilarious. He always says, "Hello, it's me again." So it's us again, Matt Weinglass. He's hanging out in Hollywood, and as you all know, I was traveling all over creation, and then got back, and it was moving. I was moving, and my God, I'll put it like this. The first thing I thought about me moving is I got to go to my chiropractor at 5:15 today. After the show, I'm going to my chiropractor because my back ain't doing so well. Grabbing and pulling things that I had no business grabbing and pulling. All right. Matt. We got a lot going on. But I want to start with this since you are in the Hollywood area. Yes. Rob Reiner, you had God knows I got my issues with Rob Reiner. I still will never forgive him for that damn thing he did with Morgan Freeman, where they were screaming for war with Russia. We must go to war with Russia, and we must all die in a nuclear holocaust. I'm thinking, I don't know if I could go with you on that one. But at any rate, there was a horrible tragedy. Apparently, we are told that he was killed by his son, and son might have had mental illness. Substance abuse issues, things like that. Then Trump does as Trump does, this completely unhinged response. It was Trump's losing his fastball. He's moving in the direction of Biden in that he's getting a little out there. So he does this unhinged response that was all about Trump. You know what I mean? It's like Rob Reiner died. Now back to me. People have been saying mean things about me and blah, blah. And I'm like, Trump, you're losing it, buddy. But at any rate, what's the latest on this, the tragedy of a man dying and his wife and in a violent manner and, then the response by Trump, et cetera. Your thoughts on what's being talked about in SoCal?
This obviously, like you said, it's totally a tragedy. It hits us kind of personally here in Hollywood. The response, the outpouring of the grief and the condolences and people just kind of reflecting on this great loss that could have been avoided. So, I mean, just the elements of the actual tragedy itself. There were a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas. This happened at Conan O'Brien's house, or the conflict started at Conan O'Brien's house at a party. It could have stopped there if the police were called. We're finding out later that the police were instructed, or people were instructed not to call the police at the party because Conan didn't want to have that type of commotion at his party. Unfortunately, there was enough people that did see that there was a problem with his son, and it was necessary to get police involved and do a 5150 on this kid. Obviously, if that had happened, this tragedy wouldn't have occurred. So there's a lot of feelings about how this went down as more information comes forward.
Well, for those who don't know, if you could refresh them, how much do we know about what actually happened at the party? You know what I mean? For people who aren't familiar with it, what actually happened at the party?
So you're mentioning his son. So his son, Rob Reiner's son, was having some sort of episode, mental health crisis, and the party goers were very aware that this was occurring enough where they said something. They said something needs to be done with this kid. He's not behaving in a way that's safe for himself or for the people around him. And as we know, you can call a 5150 in on someone if they are posing a threat to themselves or people around them, which is a 72-hour hold. They could have done that, but they were told and instructed, do not call the police, let them figure this out on their own. Rob Reiner and his wife, they left the party. Apparently his son went back to their house, and that's where the incident occurred as far as the actual murder, which was a tragic situation. We saw the aftermath of that, and his daughter having to discover them after the attack. So they got the son in custody. He's clearly he's clearly the guy that did this. But just looking at the ramifications from this, and when people don't know, look, Rob Reiner had a lot of levels to him, right? Like you mentioned this part about, and we talk about Trump derangement syndrome. That's an actual thing. And it was very unfortunate. I got to say, as a filmmaker, somebody who's respected his work, this is somebody who's given us these classics, these incredible pieces of Hollywood that we don't see anymore. We don't see movies like Stand By Me anymore. We don't see, even A Few Good Men or, Misery. They say he's responsible for inventing the mockumentary genre with these, This Is Spinal Tap. The first time we see behind the scenes of something that was completely, fabricated on paper and pretended to be a real thing. Like that was a brand new genre. So there's so many moments in his career where we could say Rob Reiner gave us something as an artist. Then there's the part of him that went off the rails a little bit, where we're talking about making it a priority for him every day, seemingly on Twitter, to come after a sitting president and call him a traitor and a not an illegitimate president, and we have to do everything we can do to stop him. And that Russia, and we know that mindset, and we've seen so many people, especially here in Hollywood, fall into that trap. So that was the part you're referring to, the Trump tweet. That's what he was trying to make this about. That's not what this is about. And I just have to say, for the record, that audacity for somebody to link a murder of the fact that he was killed, and to suggest it's because he was doing whatever he was doing on Twitter or doing something that Trump didn't like, that you would suggest that being the cause of it, is not, that it's beyond inappropriate. It's disgusting. So let's just be clear with that part. But I have to say, Garland, there are mixed reactions to how people respond to Trump. And I have to say, look, he's one guy. He, comparatively to Biden, he's somebody who doesn't have all his marbles in place. He's somebody who's going to do whatever he wants at any given moment, but he doesn't represent everyone. Just like when Biden would bumble and stumble, he didn't represent the people on the left either. And I think we need to make that distinction. How about the people themselves? How are they behaving? And I have to say, look, before Trump put that tweet out, the people that would consider themselves MAGAs, they responded appropriately. They were putting out messages, thank you to Rob Reiner, and we will miss you, and this is a tragedy. And they were able to separate that. And I think that's an important distinction to make, because Trump's tweet has now overshadowed the rest of the MAGA base, who I have to say responded like total adults should be responding when something like this happens. And now that's not being talked about, and that part's a shame.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing. It was I agree with you. Look, somebody died, put politics aside. You don't have to like them. You can hate them, whatever the case is. You can be upset with them. But, there's here's the way I see two parts of it. Number one, as the president, there's a certain decorum that should come with, and professionalism just to come with, that should come with the office. But we know it's Trump. So it is what it is. So part of it is, to me, in a way, when I see Trump do something deranged, I just go, well, that's Trump. That's expected. What is everybody else doing? You know what I mean? Because what we're all always given to discuss is the least common denominator. And now this tragedy happened. Trump said something, and what the masses are all out here supposed to do is fight over what Trump said. We're not supposed to address the issues and problems that we have. We're always supposed to fight over the last thing that Trump said, or the last thing. You remember this? The Hillary Clinton camp would always say, a Bernie supporter said this. They would go on Twitter and find some random guy who lived in Bar Harbor, Maine, who supported Bernie, who said something about Hillary. And they would take that and act as though this is all the masses of Bernie supporters, or blah, 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 blah. At that time, I was a Bernie person before I learned what I know now. But it's an old game. It is this. The truckers in Canada.
Yes.
They're doing their thing, which I supported, to be quite frank. And then we hear, yes, somebody found a Nazi flag somewhere near one of them. So they're all a bunch of Nazis. It's the old thing of discounting and discrediting entire groups of people and getting people to fight over a Nazi flag instead of discussing what the truckers were actually griping about.
Yeah.
We discussed whether or not they were Nazis, and it always takes us away. There's always a way to distract us from the true problems in society that we should be discussing.
Yes. And I'll remind people the truckers were also being called Trumpers, which was hilarious because they were Canadian. And so I remember that whole, so whatever label you can give them. And like you said, one Nazi flag who we mysteriously just appeared in one of the shots. So there's that. But yeah, that's a manipulation. We see that a mile away. In this case with Trump, however, this is a bigger, they can do more with this because he's not just one person they found, he's the president. And so the lesson we need to learn from this, and I'll take an example. Let's take one person example. We had Maria Shriver. She did a very heartfelt video, reaction to Rob Reiner. She was very close to him. She usually doesn't get political, although we know her relationship with Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was governor. She'd only pipe up here and there. She tries to stay out of it. But in this case, she went off on Trump, and rightfully so. But here's the problem. We look at this reaction. We say, Mr. President, the audacity to do this, you need to be bringing people together with your words. And I'm going to stop right there. Let's think about what that means. The president's job is to bring us together with their words. Is it though? Do we give way too much credit and power to this one person? If we go back to Obama, was that the goal, that we had somebody in there that could say the right thing, make us feel good? Is that what we're talking about? Is that the job of a president, to say the right thing? Because Obama's an example of, if you say the right thing, we all feel good. But what are you doing behind the scenes? What are the actions you're doing? Shouldn't that be our concern about our president, their actions? So I think, again, it's fair to criticize Trump and say you should never have done this tweet, but let's not give him this much power because of words. Because if he said good words like Obama, guess what? We still have the foreign invasions. We still have imperialism. We still have the drone attacks. We still have the surveillance state. We still have all of these things that every president has done. But let's focus on action more than words.
Here's a perfect example. Biden attacks MAGA. Trump and MAGA Republican says threat to American democracy. Okay, so apparently the job of the president is not to bring people together. I'm not going to fool myself into thinking that it is, when I know good and well it isn't. I know that the fact of the matter is, if I'm honest, the job of them is to keep us fighting, is to keep us distracted, is to keep us fighting amongst each other, so we don't realize that the political class and the ruling class are taking us to the cleaners, and and they're dragging us into wars and all these other things. So in theory, in a theoretical world, the job of the political class is to bring us together. In the country that we live in, it is distract us. It is the false flag us. Yeah, that Nazi flag should have been blank because it was a false flag, right? And so the reality is, when things happen like that, people make these grand moral pronunciations, right? Right? Well, Trump said this. Well, the job of the president is to bring us together. I wish it were. I wish it were. But no. Look at the Epstein files. Which we can go right into the Epstein files. Let's do this. Okay. You got all these Democrats, and as everybody knows, I hate both parties. Oh, the Republicans are trying to hide the Epstein files. Oh, Trump was wait a minute. Epstein died in 2019, correct? The Democrats were in power from 2020 to 2024. It never dawned on them that perhaps they should get released the Epstein files. Now Trump is in power. Oh my God, he won't release the Epstein files. We didn't ask for the Epstein files, might I ask. We asked for a list of the pedophiles. We asked for a list of the criminals. They changed the term and said, shall we release the Epstein files? We never asked for the Epstein files. We asked for the list of names of people who were doing these devious deeds. But okay, so they changed it. They distracted us, and now they made it the Epstein files. But the Democrats, they didn't release it. And now the only thing it is Trump's name on it, is Biden's name on it, is Clinton's name on it. We want to know the names of the pedophiles, of the people who were pointed to as miscreants. And they've changed the name, and they give us a bunch of blank pieces of papers, and now it's just a food fight between the two, the single party masquerading as two. Matt.
Yeah, no, this is something that I would have to say. Look, we've been on the Epstein files this entire time, and I know there was this very brief moment people were kind of celebrating this. The date's coming. They're gonna do it. Remember, Trump signed it. He said it himself. Everybody voted on it. We're gonna get these files. No, we're not. No, we're not. We're going to get a bunch of blank pages, blacked out. That's what we got. And this back and forth, like you said, this food fight is just going to continue. And nobody's going to call out both parties together. Nobody on a mainstream network stage. They're not going to do it. They're going to continue to sling the dirt at the other side. But if you really wanted to get this in the bud, you have to hold the Democrats responsible, as we're holding Trump, trying to hold Trump responsible. But Trump sounds like he's double talking this whole thing. It doesn't really make sense. You could say it's a Democratic hoax. At the same time, you could say Bill Clinton is implicated in here. Is he or is he not? So either they made it up or they didn't. And at the same time, you have the other side, just their entire obsession with Trump's in the files. That's why we're not getting it. Trump's in the files. That's why we're not getting it. Oh my God, they realized he was in more pages. That's why they backed off for a few days. They go, there's way more going on here. And if nobody's talking about the Israel connection to Epstein, then we're not really talking about the Epstein files.
100%. When you get down to it, the law said, people are like, okay, Trump, they passed the law. That law means nothing. There was a law passed that they had to release all of the JFK files, but they haven't done it. They could care less about the law. They haven't done it. And of course, the rumor, which is very strong, is that there were perhaps references to Israel in those, and that's why they ain't releasing those. Number one. Number two, Epstein worked with the prime minister of a particular country, which would be Israel. He helped procure and sell technology for a particular country. He worked repeatedly on behalf of a particular country. His partner was a dual citizen with that same country, and her father was a spy for that same country. The evidence is irrefutable who he worked for. But yet our media talks about it as though this is an issue of simply pedophilia or a bad guy, not that this is a government. This is just government act, the United States. And you can say it's Israel, but if it was happening in the US and everywhere else, and mostly in the US, then Israel is no more responsible for it than the US, or no less responsible for it than the US, to be frank.
Yeah, no, we're all implicated. And it's not just the U.S., it's the UK too. So this is a global it's a global reach that the Epstein and this apparatus of Epstein. It was not, like you said, it was not just about islands and partying with underage girls. That's not what it is. And this is what the mainstream wants you to think, that Trump went too far with some underage girls. That's not what we're talking about here. Epstein was an informant of intelligence, an intelligence apparatus for a global network. That's what this was about. Very similar to P. Diddy. We got the same situation where you're talking about it's a surveillance apparatus. You get things on powerful people and you use that information for your own gain. That's what the Mossad is. It's the biggest intelligence apparatus on the planet. And this is the type of operations it runs. Jeffrey Epstein was a tool of that. That's what this is. So why is neither side talking about that part? Because that's what this really is about. And we know why they're not, because they're all implicated and they're all going to go down if anything like this ever comes out officially. And that's why I don't think we're ever going to see this thing, ever.
The whole thing, when you go back to it and you find out that the guy, when the Epstein thing really got big during Trump administration, they brought in Bob Barr to handle it. But Bob Barr, or Bill Barr, whatever his name was, his last name was Barr. But then we find out that when Epstein was in Florida, and when he was charged with pedophile related activity in Florida, it was Bill Barr's law firm that protected him and that represented him, and that Bill Barr's father was the guy who first hired Epstein in the 70s and gave him a job as a math and physics teacher when he didn't even have a college degree. So you look at it and you're like, so this guy's father hired him in the first place. This guy's law firm defended him when he was accused of these activities. And as soon as he gets accused on a massive scale, this guy comes in and he's the attorney general to handle the Epstein issue. And you're like, well, clearly we're never going to find out what's what with this, because the entire thing all was set together to defend not Epstein, If it was Epstein, they wouldn't have killed him. It was this gun running, pedophile trafficking, technology spreading thing that is Zionism.
Yeah. And we haven't even gotten into what else was going on that island. Again, this wasn't just partying with underage girls. There was technology being experimented with. We got these kind of biolab situation here. We don't know what this technology that they were experimenting on out in that island. And so that's another conversation we need to have more information about. But how are we going to get that? We know that the people selected the Trump's team, and this is the whole, MAGA kind of got screwed on this. And good thing that a lot of them are saying it. They said, you double crossed us. You put people into power like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, and you told us that they were going to get to the bottom of this. And Pam Bondi told us, I'm going through the tapes. There's so much. The FBI is going through so much, tape after tape. It's disgusting, but we're going through it and we're going to get it all to you. None of that is a thing anymore. They told it, there actually isn't any files. So these people were brought in to lie to the voter to get them on board with this. We're taking on the deep state. We're going to get you the Epstein files, to do a switcheroo. And now they're saying there isn't anything there and they don't have to be held accountable for any of this. And so that's where we're at now. It's too bad that more Democrats don't see what's really happening here, but they just think it's an independent Trump thing. But that's how they're wired to think. It's just Trump individually. Everybody else is cool, just him. No, they're all part of this network. And the people that are put in these positions of power, like Pam Bondi, are not put there to work for us, or the victims for that matter. They're put there to protect the people in power that picked them to be in that position. Are you still there? I think we have a freeze. Are we frozen? Let's see. Yes, I think we're frozen here. Garland, let me check here. I think your screen is frozen. Okay, I think Garland is going to come back in here. We'll just stick it out until he enters back into the space here. So I'll just hold it down here for Garland in the meantime. Until he is back. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, must have been an internet issue. So I'll be the acting host of the Garland Nixon show right now until he comes back in. Here he is. Okay, hold on one sec.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Just had a power outage.
Okay. So you want me to I can go ahead and shut it down here, or yeah. Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me check.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Okay. We're working on it right now, guys.
Hello?
Yes.
The guy said maybe about 20 minutes or so.
Okay.
Did you come back on after that?
Yes. You want me to? I can come out of this. Okay.
So why don't we do this? Why don't we set for 4 to, I'll set back up and we'll do say 4 to 4:30.
Okay. Great.
We'll do a second half hour.
No problem. Okay. All right. All right, guys, we're going to come back. Garland will be back on in about 20 minutes from now, and we'll get you guys right back in here. So I'll see you guys when we're back.